It is the start of another week. We are back again. Yes, I missed you guys, man. Even though it's just one day off, you know what I mean? I just feel all choked up, just thinking about how far we've come so far. So yeah, man, we are back at it one more time, and let's do it. Welcome back to Eddie B TV. I am, of course, Eddie B. Nice to see y'all. And we are back at you again today for another reaction video. And another miscellaneous Monday. Like I said, the start of a new week here. We got a couple videos to get to. I picked this day, like it used to be Random Sunday, but now it's Miscellaneous Monday because either I'm going to enjoy something that's going to make me laugh or enjoy something else that's going to make me think. And just a couple of things that we put together. And yeah, I kind of like what we've done with it. So we got a couple to get to, like I said, and we're going to start off with a video from the YouTube channel Second Thought. And I'll get to who suggested this one to me in a second. But yes, man, I had to get to this one. It tapped into something else that, that I don't frequently tap into, my very opinionated ways on my environment, my surroundings and such. But yeah, man, we're going to get into this one from Second Thought, and it's going to be titled America Compared, Why Other Countries Treat Their People So Much Better. Well, yeah, I'd really like to know that for myself. I am from America. I have not been outside the country before. It's got so many lingering fears and all that kind of skepticism's going on. But maybe one day I'll tackle it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But we'll find out if we ever get the chance to one day. So yes, we're going to get into this one, like I said. And this video was suggested to me by one of my very loyal subscribers. And I'm going to go ahead and shout this person out today. Boo Boss, or at least that's how I hope you pronounce it. Thank you so much for suggesting this one. You suggested this one to me because you made a comment on the video I did with David Cross, and he was talking about how America sucks at everything. At least that's what I think the title was. But yeah, you suggested this one to me, and I want to see what it's all about, I mean, I don't always want to get into issues like this because I know I'm going to have to deal with a whole bunch of, opinions from others, but then again, I should be very open to that because that is part of what I'm doing here with the channel anyway. So thank you very much, Boo Boss, for the suggestion, and I'm gonna go ahead and get into it like I said. So from the YouTube channel Second Thought, it's called America Compared, Why Other Countries Treat Their People So Much Better. And if you like this reaction, please boom on the like button for me one time. Subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and leave a nice comment for your boy. Constructive critiques, leave a nice suggestion or request, and throw a couple jabs, jokes, and zingers at me. Friendly dialogue, no drama here, all right? None. Even though I know this is probably going to be a touchy subject for some, I don't want any drama. I don't want any people trashing each other in the comments. I just want constructive and constructive critiques and all that stuff. I want friendly dialogue, okay? I want people just, exchanging their thoughts with one another, and hopefully we can learn something from it. So yeah, man. Had to take a day off, man, because how the whole thing is set up now. And now we're back to start another week, like I said, and ready to learn, ready to laugh, ready to have fun. So let's go ahead and do this. America Compared, Why Other Countries Treat Their People So Much Better, from Second Thought, right here on Eddie B TV, round one of this Miscellaneous Monday. Let's check it out. Oh yeah, man. Ready to be schooled in some ways, man. Yes, very much so. So yes, let's get situated with this one, and here we go.
This episode and others like it are made possible by the generous support of my patrons on Patreon. If you'd like to help me make more content like this, consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/secondthought. I'm going to say something that will probably offend many of my viewers. Let me preface this by saying that I, as an American, include myself in the following statement. Americans are quite possibly the most willfully ignorant people on the face of the planet. We have access to the sum total of all human knowledge, yet our understanding of the world rarely extends beyond our own country. And even then, the majority of Americans believe in a vision of the country that does not actually exist. It's not that we're stupid, we just tend to blindly accept that the US is the greatest place on Earth, and therefore don't see any reason to educate ourselves about the realities of the rest of the world. In this episode, we're going to pull back the curtain on how America actually compares to other countries, and consider why the richest country on Earth fails to treat its people with dignity and fairness. I'm going to provide a list of important topics, then for each item we'll compare the American experience with that of citizens from other nations. Hopefully by providing a side-by-side comparison, you'll be able to see the stark contrast between how most Americans see their country and how it really stacks up against the competition. To give you an idea of just how skewed the American perception of our country really is, let's start with a pretty shocking example. Compensation for what are considered low-skilled jobs. We'll take the quintessential American company, McDonald's. McDonald's is the world's largest restaurant chain by revenue. It operates in over 100 countries and serves over 69 million customers every day. As of 2018, McDonald's was the second largest private employer, with 1.7 million employees, behind Walmart's 2.3 million. How many times have you heard someone refer to McDonald's jobs or workers in a derogatory manner? For some reason, people who work at McDonald's are seen as inferior or lazy or have any number of other unfair and unkind assessments leveled at them. This probably stems from the old notion of flipping burgers being a job anyone can perform. But the animosity towards low-wage workers has grown significantly in the past few decades. And in America, McDonald's workers really do suffer a low wage. As of 2020, the average crew member at McDonald's makes $9 per hour. The average McDonald's cashier makes $8 per hour. The federal minimum wage in the United States is $7.25, a rate which has not been raised in over a decade, and which should not be considered a reasonable wage for any position, considering the fact that a full-time minimum wage worker cannot afford to rent a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the United States, and can't afford a 1-bedroom apartment in over 95% of US counties. Now, the all-too-common response to data like this is something like, well, yeah, it's not a hard job, you should just find a better one. Here's a simple question. Should any job, regardless of technical skill required, pay workers so little that they cannot afford to rent even the smallest place to live? Not to mention other necessities like utilities, food, and medicine. Absolutely not. That is inhumane and cruel, especially coming from the second largest employer in the richest country on the planet. Other notable objections include, McDonald's has to make a profit. If they pay their workers more, they might go out of business. First of all, if you can't pay your workers a fair wage, your company should not be in business. End of story. But again, McDonald's is not struggling to make ends meet. In 2019, McDonald's raked in $21 billion in revenue. But no matter how obvious the exploitation of low-wage workers, Americans are hell-bent on praising the very companies doing the exploiting. Take this article on Reader's Digest, for example. It's titled, "This is what McDonald's workers really get paid." You see that and think, oh, nice, finally some news showing how poorly these workers are compensated. Then you scroll down and nope, they're actually praising McDonald's, saying things like, the food chain is also great for paying their workers fairly, and McDonald's is one of the highest paying fast food chains in the United States. This level of sycophancy is insane. If $8 or $9 an hour is some of the highest pay in the industry, that doesn't indicate that McDonald's is paying fairly, it indicates that a massive chunk of the population is being paid poverty wages. This is where taking an international perspective is so critical. If all you see is feel-good stories about how well McDonald's workers are paid, you'll never know how badly American workers are actually being treated. Let's take the same company, the same position, but in a different country. Here's a McDonald's in Denmark. The average McDonald's worker in Denmark, for doing the same low-skill job, makes $22 per hour. Well, hold on, you hear Reader's Digest scream from across the Atlantic. McDonald's workers in America get paid vacation days after just a year of work. Wow, enticing. In Denmark, when you're hired at McDonald's, not only are you making nearly 3 times what you would make in an American Mickey D's, you also instantly have access to a full year of paid family leave and a pension. No slaving away for a year to prove your value to the company. You're hired and you're treated fairly. Simple as that. McDonald's can afford to compensate all their workers like this, but they won't, because US laws allow them to exploit American workers to the point where they're basically slaves, earning the bare minimum to survive, paying all of their income and often going into debt just to pay rent, and having no way to escape this vicious cycle because they're working such long hours. This is the case across all of America's low-wage jobs, of which there are many. The plight of the low-wage worker is incredibly dire, and all you have to do to understand that is look at how those same workers are treated in other wealthy countries. Let's move on to another topic, work-life balance. Fair wages are definitely part of this equation. If you're paid fairly, you don't need to work a second job, which will free up your time to be spent elsewhere. But we're going to focus on other metrics, specifically the length of the work week, vacation time, and parental leave. Let's start with the US. Most Americans would say that 40 hours per week is full-time. That seems to be the general consensus. But, in keeping with the country's exploitative labor practices, the hilariously named Fair Labor Standards Act does not actually define what qualifies as full-time. That's left up to the employer. Okay, why does this matter? Well, think of your past part-time jobs. Did you get any benefits? Healthcare, 401k? Probably not. Most benefits, when they're offered at all, are reserved for full-time employees. Companies don't want to provide benefits because they affect their bottom line. America is all about cutting costs, and providing workers with fair compensation is a cost. So, imagine you apply for a full-time job at Best Buy. You're offered the job, but they tell you they only have part-time positions, but they can give you almost full-time. They make it sound like they're doing you a favor, offering you more hours than normal part-time. But this is just another example of employers exploiting their workers. If you work 37 hours per week, you're essentially a full-time employee, but they don't have to provide you any sort of benefits. No healthcare, no vacation, nothing. This is a common practice. Companies will hire people, but keep them just below the threshold for full-time to avoid providing fair compensation. I've seen it happen. I used to work at Best Buy and they would do it all the time. And that's just the companies who are still trying to appear generous. Others will simply not offer benefits at all, or set their full-time positions at 50 or 60 hours per week. Sales positions are notorious for this. They'll often say, well, we expect you to work 40 hours, but all the top sellers are working 60 to 70 hours per week. This is coercion. They're trying to pressure you into working more hours to benefit them, and the compensation is never what they claim it will be. By allowing employers to define full-time work, American workers are held captive by corporations, forced to either work absurd hours to qualify for full-time benefits or find a second job to help cover the cost of things like health insurance. Both of these options lead to a terrible work-life balance, and as real wages have decreased and benefits have been offered less and less over the years, huge numbers of American workers have developed an unhealthy work-life balance. For example, in 1960, when workers had real bargaining power, only 20% of American women worked. Today, 70% of children live in households where both parents are working full-time. Where does all this lead? As of 2020, over 85% of American men and 66% of women work more than 40 hours per week. We work 137 more hours per year than Japanese workers, 260 more than the British, and 499 more hours per year than the French. Why do other countries have such a better balance? Because many of them have laws that cap the length of the full-time work week. Companies are required to pay their workers fairly and allow enough time off for employees to maintain a healthy work-life balance. That's not the case in the US. Vacation time is a similar story. Whereas many other countries mandate that employers provide paid vacation and sick days, the US does not. In every industrialized nation, workers get more paid vacation days and holidays than in the US. Here's a depressing graph to illustrate just how poorly we treat our workers. France 31, Spain 34, Austria 38, America 0. 0 paid vacation days, 0 paid holidays. And remember, these are the mandated figures. Every Austrian worker gets a minimum of 38 paid days off per year. Even in the worst possible employment situation, they'd still get 38 paid days off. In the US, many workers are lucky to get Christmas or Thanksgiving off at all. And the odds that it's a paid holiday? Next to 0. Let's move on to our final comparison. Paid parental leave. Many Americans aren't even aware this is a thing, so let me explain. When an employee of a company has a child, sometimes they're offered parental leave, a period of time where they can stay home from work to bond with and take care of their new baby. This greatly benefits the employee, the child, and in the long run, the company, because the employee will be happier, less stressed, and more loyal to the company. Of course, offering paid parental leave doesn't benefit corporations in the short term. And if there's one thing that encapsulates the American business philosophy, it's short-term gains over all else. So it won't surprise you to learn that the US is the only industrialized nation on the planet that does not mandate some amount of paid parental leave. This may be shocking to my American viewers because being able to get paid to spend time with your newborn child sounds like an impossible dream in our dystopian labor market. And honestly, it probably is impossible in our current America. We're so invested in self-destructive capitalism that even suggesting the possibility of paid parental leave would put US politicians out of a job. That's not the case in the rest of the industrialized world. In fact, every other OECD nation, and even in many third world countries, new parents are guaranteed at least several weeks of leave. Let's take a look at a few of them. Ethiopia, a country with an annual gross national income of under $900 per person, offers 90 days of leave with 100% pay. Madagascar, 14 weeks at 100%. Afghanistan, 90 days. Denmark, 52 weeks. Norway, 56 weeks. France, 16 weeks at 100% pay for your first child, up to 26 weeks for your third, on top of 104 unpaid weeks. Lithuania, 52 weeks at 100%, plus an additional 52 weeks at 80%. Again, the United States does not mandate a single day of paid parental leave even for the mother, and the father is never considered. This means that workers in America have to choose to either pay the exorbitant cost of childcare or have one parent quit their job in order to take care of the child. These are both bad options, which often lead to economic precarity. But that doesn't matter to the companies employing American workers. Profit is the only thing that matters. Hopefully, seeing these labor practices compared like this has made it clear that not only is the US not living up to its claim to being the greatest nation on earth, but also that it consistently ranks poorly and often dead last in terms of labor metrics. Why is it that the wealthiest, most powerful nation on earth can't pay their workers a fair wage, or provide healthcare, vacation time, or paid parental leave? You should realize by now that it's not that they can't, it's that they won't. Everything in America is beholden to the almighty dollar. Profit is the only motivator. If an action does not produce a greater profit, it will not be considered. Over the last few decades, Americans have watched as our livelihoods, our quality of life, and our dignity have all been stripped away by those who already make obscene amounts of money. Those in power say we're all in this together, but that couldn't be further from the truth. The ultra-wealthy and the world's largest corporations rely on Americans remaining ignorant. They rely on us accepting the lie that America is the greatest nation on earth, that it couldn't possibly get any better. All you have to do to shatter that lie is to take a look around the world. Other nations take care of their citizens. Even impoverished nations, or nations that we've bombed into oblivion, take better care of their people than the US does. American workers need to relearn the language of class struggle and work together to break the wheel of the capitalist machine. If we want to claim that the United States is the greatest place on earth, we need to make it that way.
Okay. That's the end of that. Ooh, boy. I swear, man, it took everything inside of me to not just bust out of my seat and punch something just for hearing all that. That is insanity, just to hear everything that was said in this video. Damn. You know, I'm going to get into this, man, but geez, man, like, who would have thought, right? I think when at the beginning of this one, when he said willfully ignorant, I think that, you know, that pretty much explains the entire thing that has to do with this country right here. All right, y'all, that was, jeez, I need to collect myself. That was America Compared, Why Other Countries Treat Their People So Much Better, from Second Thought. Well, I think we touched on this a little bit when I did a reaction to a George Carlin video. It was called Dumb Americans, right? And I memorized this because it was so powerful of such a powerful thing to say that it kind of just warranted me memorizing it. It's the only thing is the only thing they care about, the corporations or whatever, is obedient workers, people who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the reduced benefits, the longer hours, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And it's just like, it's so gut-wrenching to think about all of the bullshit that is, you know, swept under the rug here in America. You know, just listening to this, it infuriates me, because I remember being a new grown man, and I worked at McDonald's, and the minimum wage at that time was only like $7.02, I think it was, if I'm remembering that right. And I rarely got overtime, but that's only because, you know, when people called out too much and I just really wanted more hours, then you know whatever was whatever. But still, at the time, I made less than $1,000 a month working there. And it was crazy because, you know, I was a new man not on my own. I was living with B-Rob at the time, and he graciously let me live with him. And he charged me a fair amount for rent, you know, Appreciate you, B-Rob, for that, by the way. But it's like the only thing I can compare it to is every other job pretty much that I've had since then. Almost everyone. Like I remember the most, when I lived in Texas, I worked at Fry's Electronics, and I only got paid $8 an hour there as a warehouse worker. They call us merchandisers. And they would not allow you to have 40 hours a week because they did not want to give you a full week's pay, and they didn't allow anyone to have overtime. And we'd be thinking to ourselves, like, well, why not? You know what I mean? And then listening to this, now you know why. And like, I know what he's talking about. We know what the deal is, but we're just so like, you know, well, we're just absorbed so much of the nonsense that really nobody really has anything else to say about it other than what they say. And that's all we say. We go right back to the same shit every day, the same jobs, the same mistreatment. And I remember saying this so many times, but I didn't have any knowledge of it. I still really don't. But I used to think to myself, how is it that these fast food chains will endorse a professional athlete, but they won't pay their workers a reasonable wage? Professional athletes, they don't even, you know, if they're really, really good at what they do, they don't even eat this kind of food. So why would they endorse a product that they don't even eat? You know what I mean? Like, why would they do that? I never understood that at all. It always used to like throw me off. And not only that, you know, as much money as these corporations make per year, the workers get paid this much. That is like a crime. That should be a crime. And it's like, how come it hasn't changed? Did we leave this up to a vote or something like that? Or is it just like, you know, I mean, I'm still kind of unfamiliar with the definitions of like capitalism and all this other stuff, but I just look at it and it doesn't add up to me. You know, like right now I work at a place where, you know, they give me a nice wage, I guess, you know, but I don't even know really what to compare it to. You know, like what would someone who does what I do make in another country? You know, I don't know, but it's sad to me because it's right there in front of you. Everybody knows what's going on, but nobody is allowed to do anything about it. And if you say anything about it, you're looked at as un-American or something like that. I don't really know what to say. It's just a really messed up ordeal. And it goes back to the David Cross video that I watched when he was talking about America really does suck at everything. It's like greed. It's so much of a powerful thing in this country, man, that I'm so surprised that there's not more like murders of like someone who works for these companies. They just walk out of their building, and someone who's just so disgruntled that they just take a gun, just blow their heads off. You know, that they won't care if they end up going to prison or die themselves. They just feel like taking one of these fools out because it's just messed up. It's just not cool, man. You know, I mean, I'm not really, you know, the one that's supposed to be talking so much about this. I mean, I've been in the workforce for many years, but at the same time, I only got a 10th grade education, man, and I've already burnt a lot of bridges in my life. But it's like at all my jobs, if something didn't feel right, I spoke up on it. And if I spoke up, I got in trouble. And when I get in trouble more often than not, I end up just getting fired, or I've just had enough, so I end up quitting. And the wage was already sucky in and of itself. So it's just like, wow, so much nonsense that you got to put up with. And no, I had no clue. That they offered that much paid vacation and all the paid parental leave. I had no idea that was the case. Like so many different places that we would think couldn't even provide that are doing that a million times better than us. I don't really know what to say about it other than that. I'm from America, and I love where I'm from just because I have, you know, my memories here and all that good stuff, man. But it's just like, this country really is a piece of shit in many ways if you really sit and think about it. And of course, you're going to have all these ignorant, super patriotic people that will say something like, well, get the hell out of this country. It's the greatest country in the world. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll abide by that. But I don't know, man. It breaks my heart to know that this is exactly what goes down here, and that a lot of us are ill-equipped to do anything about it. And the fact that nobody who does make a lot of money, who probably doesn't act like these people in these corporations act, aren't doing anything about it as well, you know. But, you know, we do have our people that say things about it, obviously, like our George Carlins, you know, but, and our David Crosses, of course. But, I mean, I think that I think there needs to be a massive overhaul in how things go down in America. You know, like what he said at the very end, if we're going to say that we're the greatest country on earth, then we really need to start doing something to actually make that a fact, instead of just something that we say that's clearly not true. You know, it's just insane, man. But yeah, man, this was an awesome video. You know, I like how they he broke everything down in this, and really let it be known. And even at the beginning of the video, he said that, you know, he's one of the willfully ignorant ones too, just like we all are, you know. But me, I'm gonna be one of the fools with a 10th grade education that's gonna continue to talk about things here and there just to make it real. But I'm so willfully ignorant that all I want to do is just smile somehow and, you know, do whatever I do to make people laugh and have a good time. You know, just to make people feel better about all the nonsense that they have to deal with, you know, when they go back to work, or, you know, take care of their families and all this stuff, man. You know, I got a family too here, you know, that I'm trying to, you know, have a good thing with, you know, but sometimes good times are few and far in between, depending on what you're going through financially or whatever. But it's just messed up. But very awesome video, man. And yeah, until the next one where it talks about a whole bunch of other messed up stuff that goes on in this country. Yeah, man. Oh, it's already too heartbreaking to watch and listen to. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off right there. Thank you one more time to Boo Boss for suggesting this one to me. Thank you very much, man. I know that I don't always like to get to things like this, man, because it really does make me think about how depressing all of this nonsense is. But confronting that reality is a healthy thing, and what we do about it after that is anyone's guess. So thank you very much, Boo Boss, for this one. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. One more time. America Compared, Why Other Countries Treat Their People So Much Better, from Second Thought. And if you like that reaction, please boom on the like button for me one more time. Subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and of course, as always, leave a nice comment for your boy. Constructive critiques, leave a nice suggestion or request, and throw a couple of jabs, jokes, and zingers at me. Friendly dialogue, no drama here, all right? None. You guys know the deal. So yeah, man, this is going to be Eddie B TV, wrapping this one up one more again here. Round one in the books. You know, I know that it's not a comedy video or a song, but you know, it's something that I think a lot of us here in America need to hear, you know, because there's corruption everywhere. And, you know, the almighty dollar is the thing that consumes people. They don't treat us with respect, man. The fact that, you know, the fact that people at fast food joints, like, I'll say this straight up. If you are someone out there that disrespects fast food workers, man, you can go straight to fucking hell. You know, because I don't got no respect for you. You don't know what it means. You don't know what you're saying when you're saying this doesn't require that much skill. Are you kidding me? You think it doesn't require skill to not only keep this whole thing going, and not only that, put up with, you know, bougie, arrogant, and disrespectful customers all the time? You know, hell no. I mean, I've had fast food jobs where customers throwing food at me, throwing money at me, cuss me out because of things that blah blah blah. It's just like I don't really know why or how I didn't bust somebody's ass a long time ago when it came to that. It was just like, you know, so many people really think they're entitled to so much, but they also think they're entitled to good service, but they're also entitled to treat you like dog shit. Nah, I don't think so, man. And if you ever do treat fast food workers bad, I hope one of them haul off and whoop your ass, man. And I really mean that to my very core. But I'm not a violent guy, but at the same time, man, sometimes you need to reap what you sow in this life. So, yeah, thank y'all for tuning in one more time to this one, man. I know I was rambling on a little bit there, but this one was just a lot to absorb, man. It really, really was. And Boo Boss, thank you one more time for suggesting this one to me, man. I had a really eye-opening experience watching this, and hopefully we can get to another one to where we can talk a little bit more about this issue, but hopefully not harp on it too much to where it's nothing but just war of words, you know. But yeah, man, I got one more video to go, and I'm gonna try to flip the script on it, make it a little bit more pleasant, you know, for everyone's viewing pleasure. And until next reaction, love and appreciate y'all. Peace.